Alright, well, pantheism is a very abstract word because I don't know of any religions that it really applies to, any actual religions. Um, Pantheism itself just means that the creator is not separate from the created. So there's no God separate from the universe, as there is in the Western theistic religions. God isn't an external intelligence that sort of breathes life into this dead, inert substance. That's the Western metaphor. A pantheist universe is constantly creating itself, and it is itself, and there is only one self, one universe, one God, same thing. No duality. Now this is like Hinduism, and it's more like Buddhism than theism, but it's not. Buddhism is not um, pantheistic, and Hinduism falls into the class of pantheism, I guess. But there's more to be said than just that God is the universe. Um, each sentient being is Brahman in disguise, and what each sentient being is aware of, the world, is also Brahman in disguise. But it can never be Brahman in disguise. It's always ignorant of Brahman. It's always in disguise. Um, so the one and the many are one, but the one is present equally in each of the many. So it's not just everything is God and it's sort of this smeared amorphous merging together of all of reality. There can still be very intricate forms in the Hindu cosmos, very intricate patterns that appear very separate, and that some of them appear very evil and ungodlike and ugly, but they're just as equally Brahman as everything else. Um, and Buddhism, you might say, is pantheistic because um, of Tathata, which is, or Tathata. I don't really know how you pronounce these words. I've only read them and heard them pronounced different ways by many people. But that just means suchness, and it's refers to what we see with our five senses and feel and touch, the gross world of matter or form. Um, and then the corollary to that is sunyata, or emptiness, which is lack of form, formlessness. And in Buddhism, both of those are true at the same time, because the ultimate is non-dual. The ultimate is unspeakable. There's no word for it. It's the Tao, but the Tao that is named is not the eternal Tao. So we just won't talk about it. But the Tathata would be the God of Buddhism, and Sunyata would be the emptiness, or the goddess. Um, so in the Tathata half of Buddhism, when we're in that mind frame, on that side of this dualism, then Buddhism is pantheistic. But the other side of Buddhism, which is equally true, but seemingly opposite, is that there is no God, there's no creator, there's no creation, nothing exists, because what are you going to point to and say that exists? Everything exists in relation to everything else, and it's always changing, and nothing is stable. So there's no form anywhere. There's just flux, or emptiness. So where does the meaning come from in a pantheistic view? Well, God is in everything, so the meaning must come from every moment of your existence, because you're God, and everything you see is God, and you're in heaven. Um, so pantheism is a very mystical kind of religion. You're gonna kind of be in a state of rapture for most of your life. Or you might get used to the rapture and just sort of learn to live with it, obviously. But you'll certainly be an interesting character, for sure. The meaning comes from just knowing that you're God. And I guess only a pantheist would know what that even means, right? But the meaning for a theist really seems to come from when they're in church, when they're reading the Bible, when they're praying. But other than that, they're pretty much just like everybody else. Their day-to-day interactions with people are pretty much rational. So they're a lot like many atheists. And of course, there are irrational atheists and there are irrational theists. Because I think atheists and theists, they don't pray to the same God, but they're in a relationship with each other. They understand one another in terms of the other, I think. And so they depend on one another in some way. And atheists, I think, get their meaning from being able to think about things rationally and figure things out and have answers, or at least temporary answers, depending on how much faith an atheist has in rationality. But yeah, that's enough of this video.